This video of the roundtable, I want to talk about the different power sets that could be added into the game. I'm Controlled Chaos, and with me today I have Meka and Senpai from Thunderspy. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Let me know if I'm coming in clear
Oh, you're
using my
coming in
phone.
good. Meka?
I'm doing good.
All right, excellent. So, with that being said, what's a power set that you guys would like to see in City Heroes? Meka, let's start with you.
Something that we recently didn't have the capability for, but we do now, would be a magnetic-based control set, or maybe a support set. It really depends on how you want to run it.
Mhm.
Because the way I envisioned it is that there's a lot of pushing and pulling mechanics. Like, say you could put a effect on a target, and it would start pulling all the other targets closer to it, or repelling them if you put it on an ally instead of an enemy.
Okay,
Like,
so it'd be sort of like a Magneto type character in
yeah,
being
like
able to pull people and push people apart and stuff like that. That's really interesting. I'm glad that you guys found a way to be able to do that in the City Heroes game. Senpai, what do you think of the idea?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to add for those that aren't aware, on Thunderspy, we've updated the knockback effect to be able to knock in other directions and even do stuff like make things spiral around. So that's what Mecha is referring to, is we could do stuff like that now with like a whole power set dedicated to just pushing enemies around.
Oh,
And I think that would just be a great way to showcase our new capability.
that would, and that actually makes it so one of the ideas I have would work for your guys' server. So, Senpai, what's a power that you would like to see added into the game?
Well, one that I've always wanted to work on thematically is information support. So it would be a support set for like defenders, corruptors, possibly, and controllers. And it's just themed after characters like Oracle, that don't really have powers, but they're just like really good at getting information and keeping people informed.
one of the Spider-Man movies made the joke, the guy in the chair, I think. I can't remember how it went.
Yeah, it would be kind of like the guy in the chair, but you could imagine it as like that's just clairvoyant or has some way of just knowing lots of stuff. Like maybe that character scouts ahead or something and then comes back and informs everyone.
So you're talking more along the ways of it could show where enemies are on the map that you haven't uncovered yet, that still have the fog of war type thing, right?
Well, how it would really work is it would probably be like force fields where it would buff defense a lot because you'd just be like prepared for what the enemy's going to do. It would probably just be themed around like being prepared for what's coming up. And I wanted to have at least one ability called Analyze or something that would give all of your allies a chance to crit on a specific target. Because I think that would be a really interesting mechanic. Because when I had a power set, when I updated Empathy, I added like a whole new mechanic called Empathize, where you share hit points with an ally. So I wanted this new mechanic to just be something subtle, like you can designate one specific enemy to get crit hits on it from anyone that attacks it for a certain period of time.
Oh,
I think
that's
we
a
could set that
cool
up
idea.
now. It's complicated.
Yeah, that is. I mean, my developer mind's thinking of so many different ways you could pull that off, but it all depends on how the code works within City Heroes. So
That's why I kind of like to show off and have just like a little flair. Like I don't like to go too overboard, but if since I know how to actually modify the C code, try to add things as well as I can without modifying the C code. But if there's just this little bit extra I could do to make it extra special, I can modify the C code to have it like have a really cool, unique effect that nothing else has.
Oh, that's cool. So I want to move forward and I want to bring up my idea. And thanks to you two, I've changed my decision on what power set I'd like to see. So this is your guys' fault. So with the announcement of you guys saying you found a way to make it so you can make enemies spin and fly to the side and stuff like that, whips. I would love to see whips in the game. And the way I see it working is utilizing what you guys found. You could whip someone and have one attack cause the enemy to spin in place and disorientate them for a while. you could have another one where it flings them to the left, another one where it flings them to the right, to where it could smack them into other enemies, one that throws them back, one that pulls them towards you, and things like that. And I think whips would be really interesting on Thunderspy with that gameplay capability that you guys were able to create. What do you guys think, Meka?
The big issue with whips is more on the visual side rather than the mechanical side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure you've seen Demon Summoning's Hellfire Whip.
Oh, yes.
And it's got some of the most complex FX design in the entire game. The files just for like a single whip attack are several magnitudes bigger than other entire power sets.
Mm-hmm.
They're just extremely complex. That's why they didn't make more of them. There's only about 4 animations.
Yeah.
It's actually part of the reason why I made Psychokinetic Assault, because I knew that everybody wanted to use those Hellfire Whips and as an offensive character, but it was stuck on the Mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
So I designed it to be on Dominators, and then later on there's going to be more versions of it.
Yeah, and that is a good point to bring up. And I mean, I don't know how they could do it. I mean, one of the ways that I see that they could bring whips in, I don't know what the limitations on bones are. The way EverQuest does whips is the whips actually have a bone system in it of their own, and it goes off of that. So I don't know if, say, Heroes could do something like that.
The way I when I was looking into it, I'm not an expert on the FX system though. When I was looking at the files, it's like a lot of child parts with specific programming to move together as a single whip.
Mm-hmm.
But it's extremely complex. Like, we don't really have the tools right now to fine tune that. Even with our FX test command that Senpai coded in, it would just take too long to really figure out where the pieces need to go while they're moving.
And I take it, Senpai, you sort of agree with everything I'm saying?
He's right. It would just take a lot of time to animate.
Okay.
It's not impossible, but if you want it, you're going to have to work on it because...
Oh, the animations would be a
lot of
whole other
time.
issue. We still haven't looked into creating new animations at all, so we don't know,
Okay.
we wouldn't know the process for that in the slightest. So
Mm.
the best we could do right now is try to find the closest animations that are in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and then build effects around those, which you can get some stuff done with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So with that being said, and that pushed aside on my idea, are you guys up to hearing my original idea I had before you brought up the whole entire being able to throw enemies around in a different way?
Sure.
Oh, on that note, when you mentioned that you use a whip and pull a target to you, that's a planned change in the future for Scrapper's Thunder.
Oh, cool. That's gonna be cool to see. I'd love to see that. So my original idea that I had is, before you guys brought that up and I switched over to whips, was javelins. And the reason I say javelins is javelins are a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. So on all servers, it would go to blasters, and you'd have a ranged set of javelin attacks and you have a melee set of javelin attacks. And the range set is literally just the throw of the javelins with different effects of knockdowns, knockbacks, stuff like that. And then for the melee, it's just using maybe some of the staff attacks or sword attacks animations to do the melee stuff. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that it would probably be better on a Dominator just because they have the assault sets, which are actually a mix of melee and ranged.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be a Scrapper set because Scrappers actually have spines and claws, which I would say are more like mid-range sets than melee sets. So there's already a precedent for that. Claws, for instance, and those have like 2 or 3 mid-range blast attacks already.
Yeah, spines, claws, and kinetic melee all have decent ranged options built into them.
Yeah, you are true there. I mean, the other way I looked at this, especially for Rebirth, have either of you played the Guardian class on Rebirth?
No.
I'm aware of it, and on Thunderspy we did something different, and our defenders play like their Guardian, because we added melee sets and some assault sets pickable for the defender secondary.
Yeah, so that's how I really sort of sunk into this for the Javelin. Was I was thinking Rebirth, well, they have the Guardian, which the primaries mix some melee attacks with some range attacks, and then the secondary is all defensive, like your scrapper, and that'd be a good sort of fit. And the reason why I like that idea is because then you could have the shield and the javelin, and you could look sort of like a Spartan type character or something like that, and I thought it would be really, really interesting. Is the javelin idea a more obtainable idea for you guys to be able to do on Thunderspy?
Well, that's going to come down to anime. Sorry,
it hits the same problem that whips would have, where it'd be animations mostly, because the Cimarronians do use javelin attacks. We actually had one of our XX guys looking into it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember why, but we were looking into the javelin attacks, and I was like, sure, go ahead and look into it, see what you can do, but mind the animation time, because that's another thing we currently can't change. Well, we were experimenting with it a bit, but we didn't really get anywhere. Well, we can't change the base animation time of a power, and usually NPC powers are significantly longer than player power. So we looked at that javelin throw, and it takes like 2.6 seconds to animate, which is you don't want to do that because it just takes too long. You feel like you're rooted forever.
Yeah.
I was going to add that any kind of thrown weapon, it would need some change to the FX system, because there's no way for the FX to know what weapon you had equipped. So if you wanted to have like a customized spear or something, when you throw it, it would look like just like a generic spear model or something.
So you wouldn't be able to customize the javelin. Okay. That would take some extra coding to fix that problem there. And, I know that you guys on Thunderspy are really busy working on a lot of back-end stuff, so in the future you can just pop out content like Matt, which I have complete respect for. I think that's in a way, a smart move to do, because, you guys still are getting updates out there. You guys have added in the Knights class, you guys have added in the customization for pets, which I just love. My whole entire Friday stream is based off of Thunderspy's pet customization. I think that these three ideas are really good, and, some are complex and would be tough to do, such as the javelin one. How you guys do with the throwing around and moving of the NPCs and getting that to work. I think, the magnetism one, a really, really great idea, especially for Thunderspy, because imagine how many Magneto characters you have running around when that hits live, if it ever comes to fruition, and when it does. And I think we've covered a lot here. I want to thank you guys for your time. Is there anything you guys want to say before we end? We'll start with the Meka.
No, not really.
Okay. Senpai?
Left off at a good spot.
Okay, well, I want to thank you guys too for your time. I appreciate that. I do want to let you guys know I am going to change the time to be the last Saturday of every month to be the round table, just to make it easier for my memory, because that's what happened why this one got pushed back. I want to thank you all for listening, and have a great day.